back with another live stream, and I'm going to work on the Zeus. Looking at a box that says a Zeus on it, Zeus motherboard box. I haven't put it in my mom's machine yet. Now the Acer laptop, it's sitting on top of that box. The Acer laptop that I set up Fedora 29 server on, I made a little video of it yesterday evening, but I tried to overnight test, and it shut down at some point. And then it occurred to me last night. I had to do some other stuff for a couple of days, and I hadn't touched it at all. I just left it sitting there until, so it'd be just like it was when I got back to it. Occurred to me last night that I had the when I was working on it, I had the AC adapter plugged into my power strip that has my chargers and stuff on it for my phones. Well, when I go to bed, I turn that off, and so I turned the power off to it. So I ran on its battery for, I saw it the other day. When I was working on it, I forgot to plug it in, and it ran for 2 hours, and then warned me that the battery was about dead. And I was like, oh. So I know the battery runs right at 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. So I'm sure it ran 2 hours, and then I thought it had maybe just hibernated, but it went to, well, it probably did for a while. That's what it's supposed to do. But then it shut down completely because in the previous, it's now my previous video, the one I did last night. I showed all that, and I cut my head off. I didn't set everything up. I just grabbed a camera and did it, and I guessed it how tall to make it. And I didn't make it. I made it about this tall, so it looks goofy, but I can't help it. So anyway, I plugged it into another power strip that I don't ever turn off, and it's always on, but of course it's not a UPS or anything like that, a power battery backup. But and it stayed on all last night. It's been on all day today, and I haven't done anything to it but just kind of look at it, and it's running. And so let's see. Let's get up there and give it a look before we go. Oh, let me check my stream, make sure everything's good. It looks good. It's all green, but let me make sure that everything is working like the sound. Sometimes you can actually have a signal on your sound and it's not getting there, for whatever reason. I almost moved that too soon. Okay, get them all lapels. Okay. And yeah, now, okay, so speaking of that, double check the make sure the lapels are working. Okay. Now I can get up. So I'm going to get this camera that I'm on right now and point it over there and show you what I'm talking about. It's kind of, see, I'm gonna have to hold one side and the other side I'll let it sit on my monitor. But see, the three lights are on when I'm still not quite sure what the yellow one is, unless it's like telling you that the wireless Wi-Fi is on. I haven't looked it up or anything, but one green light, this one over here I think it is, that shows your I think that's the one you're on battery, and the other one's your own power. You got power plugged in, and one or the way or the other. And then the yellow one, that one's not on when you're on battery. I know that much. So yeah, I'm not sure. But if I can do that, sure can. That way I won't be moving it around. Only thing is I need to have that a little more secure. There we go. So I stuck these magazines in front of it because of that terrible bright white light. That was a little bit warm. Drives me crazy when I go to bed. It's shining. It's looking straight at me, and I'm looking straight at it. But it's still that's when I don't have. Well, I do have Mate. I was going to say I don't have a GUI, but I do. I installed Mate Desktop the other day. But it goes to here and to the login screen in the terminal and stops. And then if you want to get into desktop, you have to log in. Actually, it won't work in Dawn for some reason, but it works in root, and that's weird. But I didn't have that trouble the last when I did it on the NetProMax. It logged into both of them. I got to thinking, well, maybe when I installed it, I did it on the remote terminal, and I think I was logged in as root, so maybe it would have actually worked for Dawn if I would have done it in Dawn, and then, of course, it would work in root then. So I might try running that install again if I just get to where I want it. But really, all I really need is to be able to do I'm not using this as a regular machine. It's just a server, so it's administration I need to do. So if I log in as root, type start X, get into the Mate desktop, and that's how I turned off the you know, the power saving and all that stuff. That's all I really need. And I mentioned in the last video, and it'll be 5 days to a week till it gets here, but I ordered a server, a real server. Ordered me an HP Proliant, I forgot the model number again. 380, I think, generation 7. I'd have to go look. But I'll look right quick. I've been looking at that thing, watching the prices and stuff and researching them, you know, here and there. But mostly, you know, I mean, I did some research back and forth. But let's go to the desktop, and I'll look at the logs here on the server in a minute. But since I mentioned that, I'll go ahead and show. I'm pretty excited about that because I've been wanting. Well, I started way back in the early 2000s. I started realizing that you can get servers cheap when they get old, and they have a lot of RAM and a lot of processing power. But the thing that threw me off, stopped me back then was, you know, they had like, you know, 8 megabytes, I'm sorry, or even less sometimes of video memory, and you couldn't use them as a desktop that way. And I wondered if you could put I never saw anything really that looks like, I don't remember the details, it's too many years, I don't remember, that I thought I could put a video card in one. I think some people might have done it back in the old days that I saw online. This is what I got, HP Proliant GL380G7. I think I actually said it right. I guess I can see. Well, let's don't get off into that. I started to show it, but it's a 26 core processor, so it's got 12 cores plus the hyper-threading and all that, and 64 gig of RAM. And it also came with the hard drives are kind of small, and I've seen that the HP hard drives are prone to failing, but you get the caddies with that way, you know. And otherwise, the other ones I looked at, they had no hard drives and no caddies, and they were just a little cheaper, but not enough. As much as it costs to go buy caddies, and then wouldn't save you any money. And it has well, they have onboard. Now I'm going into its details. Anyway, it's got good hardware, and I'll just leave it at that until I get it. I'll start doing videos on it. Now, let me switch back to my good mic. The good mic. You ever seen that TV show, The Good Mic?
Oh, that's not the right show, is it?
Okay,
I just thought of that.
What the heck am I talking about?
I guess you never watch TV then. It's a show called The Good Wife. It's been on for years. The lady's a lawyer or something. She used to be on ER. What's ER? Well, then you're too young to know, aren't you? All right, so everything working? There we go. All right, so here's the errors from the last reboot, which was on the 9th. I don't know, I guess it doesn't say what time. Oh, I guess it was right after midnight. Yeah, because I remember going to bed at about 1:30. Of course, the same error always going to get backup data now. backup, because the hard drive has failed its smart test. And that's the reason. One of the main reasons I bought a server is because everything I've set up for a server has ended up with some sort of hardware problems and shut me down. And well, that's not the main reason. That's kind of what put me over the edge. The main reason was 12 cores of processing power and 64 gig of RAM for I didn't say it was $260 with about $37 shipping, so it's just under $300. So that's why right there. And I'll probably virtualize it in one way or the other, and I don't know if I'll put a hypervisor on it or just put Fedora on it, and then just virtualize whatever I want in there, or whatever seems to work best for me. If it's not too loud, the server, I'll leave it in here, and then I'll buy a video card for it. I was kind of back and forth, but I didn't buy a video card yet because it may be so loud and make so much heat I can't stand it in here. So then I'll put it in the garage. Then I will put a hypervisor on it and virtualize everything, and I'll have to
everything I use on it will have to be, you know, over the network, which will hopefully that'll still work. You know, I mean, it'll work well on that machine, but like if I want to, you know, install Fedora and a virtualized Fedora and use it to watch YouTube videos and stuff like that, I'm not sure if it will. I'll be able to watch a video that way on my network without. I do have gigabit. Well, it's going to be over the Wi-Fi, because I'm not up to running another new cable out to the garage. I don't have a cable going to the garage. I just use Wi-Fi repeater. Set up a router as a Wi-Fi repeater. One I got out there now, my old Linksys WGO or T or whatever they are, it's about to die. So my newer TP, very much newer TP-Link, I'm going to put DDWRT on it and put it out there. And it's supposed to do max of 750 megabits wireless, so that should be plenty. And I've never had that situation when I was, well, no, I haven't. I've never, that I can think of, I don't think I've ever had actual, like, that speed or gig, you know, like close to gigabit, like on the wired, you know, gigabit. I think the most you'll get is 9. You might get 9 or 950 or something like that. But anyway, it might work. Depends on which you'll be doing remote desktop. Well, actually, I don't know. I've watched videos. I've learned a lot, but there, you know, there's things I'm going to learn as I do it. Like how well will that work? I know I use BNC a lot and have for years. Some apps are really fast, and others are slow. Slow, a lot slower. And the bigger your operating, you know, the more bloated your operating system, the higher the resolution of your monitor. You know, more trouble you'll have. So anyway, we'll see how it all works out. I've thought of. I mean, there is things you could do. I could have it in here. I could put a box over it and run an air duct out the window. Build a thing to put up in the window. I thought about that for many years. I almost did it a few times just for the old desktop computers that made a lot of noise and heat. Well, it was just the heat I was worried about back then. But I think with there are a lot. Believe it or not, the servers. Well, it depends on which power supply it comes with. It could be 420 or 460. Yeah, 460. 2 of them. And with the two 6 cores, I'm still talking about the server. With the 2 6 cores, probably have to run both power supplies. A lot of people just run one to cut down on the power consumption. I've noticed, but I may need 2 for those 2 6 cores. I'll see, and so that'll be. And if it could be 750 watts power supply, so that'll be, you know, 1,500 watts. That'll be more than I've ever ran. So that'll be, but it's not going to be using all that all the time. As a matter of fact, that's one of its big features, is that it manages the power really well, to cut down on expenses. So I think it'll actually do better on power, way better on power management than any desktop I have. So. And I've watched videos of them running and everything. They get really loud when they boot up, but when they're running and if everything's going well, nothing wrong, it's not getting hot, then they're just as quieter than I think some of these desktops I have actually. So and in the specs it says it runs at about 22 dB. So that's what a decent desktop fan is, and you usually have at least 3 of them in a desktop. So hopefully I would really like to be able to leave it inside. So I'm worried about the heat and cold bothering it too, hurting it, you know. But anyway, let's stop talking about. I'm just excited about it. Can't stop talking about it. I've been looking at that model for about a year now. I think I've been watching videos all the time for about at least 2 years now, maybe longer, and steadily, you know, learning more and more about them. So different, you know, not just those, but actually mostly about IBM Lenovo servers, but. Okay, so the normal, so anyway, back up, and the normal error I always get on this machine and the NetProMax, the DHC client file, cache file, I think it is. Well, it just says user sbin DHC client. Let's see. Then here's like the command for it. Command line. I don't know. Is that the command that was run to make it smaller? I'm really not quite sure, and I'm not sitting there reading it to try to figure it out. So anyway, it's part of the network manager, looks like. So it starts out too big, and then it makes it smaller. So you could probably fix that if you run a command. Maybe that's the command you could run to fix that. I haven't really read that close enough to. Doesn't look to me like it would. It's such a. I've never seen exactly. Well, I mean, not that I know all that many commands, but yeah, I don't know what that. I certainly wouldn't just run that not knowing what it does. But I'm not worried about it as long as it doesn't make anything bad happen. All it does is me have to read it in the error logs. Oh, there's the reboot right there. 3. The time doesn't look like what I was thinking. Oh, it rebooted after the update, 3 a.m. I was like, I wasn't up till 3 a.m. Yeah, because it did its update and rebooted. I guess it always reboots after an update. So it did a successful reboot all by itself during the night. And that's the only thing that's in there. It's just those same errors. That's good. There's no new or weird errors. So there's a couple of things I want to do. Let's see. I wrote some notes for myself here. Let's see. Be brave and get on the camera, and then I got to remember to get back. Well, I need to switch to the camera 2 to show the BIOS. Let's see. I think I'm going to do that next. Yeah, I want to do. That's really important. I don't know if a laptop BIOS will even do this. I never paid any attention, but on your servers, I always set them to at power loss. When the power comes back, boot back up. And hopefully it'll do that, because if it won't, then it won't be a server. Because we get power losses and never know when you're going to get them, and they're usually not real long around here. But the other day it was thundering and lightning. Well, that night that I let it run all night, it started thundering and lightning and raining when I went to bed. Just as I went to bed, and I thought, oh well, we may get to find out what's going to happen. But I know I haven't done any changes because I had forgotten about it. Then I want to copy my website over and check the BIOS. So let's do that now. I'm gonna check the BIOS, and so I'm gonna get on camera 2 where I'm zoomed in. That's the only way I can show you, the BIOS at all. And let's see, which one did I put it in? I moved the KVM cables around a little bit because I had the good one, the one that I usually put on. Yeah, that's it. The one that I usually put on the server. I put it on the laptop here. It was on the Red Black BioStar, but its video card the onboard video is not working since I took its video card out because the fan went bad, and that needs fixing. And the brand new fan went bad after I ran it a month or 2. I can't remember how long it was as a server. That's what happened to it, and I knew I had an onboard video, so I took the fan out and just booted it back up, expecting it to work. And then finally I had to go digging around, and I finally saw in the etc x11 config file that it was set for the video card, and I didn't change it because I don't really need it to work. And I thought, well, I'm going to fix the video card and put it back in here. Why mess with it when I had so much else to do? Let's see. Okay, I'll log in as root and then put in the password so I can reboot. I'll type the password enough that I'm starting to remember it now. Oh, I think incorrect. All right. I remember it. I think I just tried to type it too fast. Okay, all that just to reboot. But can't reboot. You can't give it any commands until you log in when you're in the command line like that. So now if I can just see how that server. See, I'm going to use it as a combination server and desktop one way or the other, either by virtualization or just hooking straight up to it, you know, and then virtualize my whatever I want inside of Fedora 28 or 29. Well, okay, I forgot I'm talking. I'm going to hit Control-Alt-Delete, and I stopped it by bringing down the arrow key, bringing it down to the rescue, not because I want rescue, but because I want to reboot it and get it into BIOS. Let's see. I think it's F1 or F2. I think it's F2 on this one. It tells you. I think I know what it is. I'm going to start hitting F2 early. I don't want to miss it. I think it'll come up. Well, yeah, I got it. Since I was already hitting it, it just went straight in. So, yeah, it's a Pentium dual core, 2 gigahertz. Western Digital hard drive that's going old age, getting ready to die completely. But I moved in case you hadn't seen any of the other videos. I learned a trick from Adrian. Got to talking to him. He started, we started talking through one of my videos and chatting, and he joined me on a video and we talked about Rescue. He's a developer. Adrian is a developer of Rescue Tux and Super Grub Disk. And he gave me a tip on the old hard drives. He said, if you move your first partition in 10 or 20 megabytes from the first of the drive, then sometimes they'll keep working because that's the one they generally write at the beginning over and over and over, and it wears them out. So I did that. And also this machine I'll show it. Well, or I'll get in there and talk about it. Let's see. So that's all I just was saying. It's an Extensia 4630Z Acer. So let's see. Quick boot, network boot. That's turned off like it should be. D2D recovery enabled. What is D2D recovery? I don't even know what D2D recovery is. Okay. Advanced. Watchdog, OS boot timeout, power on wait time, BIOS boot timeout, security. Okay, now in the security, see if it's still that way. Okay, good. No, it does say that. The HDD password is froze. And I was afraid that could have been why it kept failing when I was trying to install operating systems on it. But you can go in there and follow some instructions and get it to, well, what you do is you set the only one thing you can do in here, set a supervisor password. And you can just hit enter and leave it blank, and then it will open everything else up, and then you can go and make the HDD password blank, and then it won't say froze anymore. But it's back like that again, and it's running, and everything was fine. Unless, of course, it may have been unfrozen when I installed my operating system, and then it froze afterward. Maybe it does that automatically. I don't know. I didn't go researching it a whole lot. I just wanted to know how to make it go away, and I found that pretty quick. Found it on the Acer website. So I thought maybe that could have been why it kept failing, and that's why I was able to install my operating system this last time. But maybe it really was a trick Adrian told me. But it's good. I'm glad I moved it in 20 gigabytes because it makes good sense to just leave it like that. And it was a little tricky installing it. I had to use the custom install in Fedora and figure out how to do it. And I did make videos on it while I was doing it. So if you're interested in that, you can go back and see my older video, last couple of weeks of videos here. And so anyway, and if you don't know, if you see this much later, just look at the date. I guess the date the videos. Yeah, the date the videos are made are on there, I think. Anyway, I did number them. I put part so-and-so. And I try to always put them in playlists and everything. So, okay, so now here's the boot. Let's see. That's still not it. I don't want to change the boot order or anything. HDD, CD-ROM. Why? Oh, USB HDD. USB CD-ROM, USB floppy disk. It doesn't have a floppy disk. IDE, reroutable drive, and then the hard drive, and then network boot. It's not showing. I don't know why it's come. When you put a USB stick in it, it boots straight to it. So USB HDD, that's it. Okay, right. What was I thinking? I don't know. Okay. So anyway, it works good like it is as far as that part goes. Now, and then of course the exit and the loads. Oh, and when I was doing that, trying to get rid of that password or that froze in the where is it? In the HDD password is froze. I hit the first time or two I tried it. I hit exit, save, and changes, and that's what the instructions tell you to do, and it didn't do anything. It didn't save the work. It let you do it, but it didn't save the work. So at the bottom, I've seen this before in other BIOSes. It says save changes. So I tried that. I hit save changes, and then I just hit exit, save, and changes because it seemed like it wasn't working anyway, and it worked. And I ended up doing that twice because it'd go back after. No, that last. Well, okay, what I did was I did it, and it worked, and then I went back in there, and it was good, and I don't remember how many times I did it. I think I did it 4 times before I finally said, okay, it looks good, don't go back in there again, because I think going back in there is what makes it go, might be what makes it go back. Okay, so, but then again, it may not hurt anything. I really don't know, but if you're trying to install the operating system, whatever kind it is, and it won't let you, it fails towards the end. What I was thinking is it might have been when it was trying to write grub to the master boot record, because this is an older machine. It has an MBR in it, a master boot record. It might have been the froze, HDD froze part might have been stopping that. This doesn't stop you from reformatting it or anything else. So, and it doesn't ask you for a password. So, anyway, it's kind of a weird thing. I don't really remember seeing that on any other machine. Advanced, AFSF, BIOS boot time, OS boot time, power on wait, mini watchdog. I don't know what minimum watchdog timeout is either. Main, system day, quick boot, network boot, F12, yeah, D2 recovery. I wonder if that's got something to do. Well, it's enabled. D2D recovery. I may have to go look that up. I guess I'll write it down. I'm thinking I'm writing it down. Look up D2D recovery in BIOS. Now here's something that's different. It was already set, and I figured that was the default SATA mode, AHCI. And almost every other machine I've noticed it because it seemed a little odd. It's usually set by default to IDE, and I don't even know what AHCI is. I guess I could look up what that is. I don't need to know every little thing about it, but as long as things are working. I'm fine unless I need to know to make something work or something. Because I'm in a hurry. Lots of time. I used to just try to learn every little thing about everything and to do in computers, but your brain gets tired after a while. Okay, and I don't remember. It's best for me to look it up when I need it because I don't remember it long enough. Okay, so information. There is nothing. I had a feeling there wasn't anything in here because usually I notice that when I'm going through, and I've been through this BIOS quite a bit. Mini watchdog, power on wait time. There is nothing. All desktops have a, what do you want to do in the event of power off? This one doesn't have that. So, I'm afraid that if the power goes down, it won't, well, if it goes down, of course I do have 2 hours of leeway at least on this battery. It's pretty old, but it lasts 2 hours. So as long as the power doesn't go on longer than 2 hours, I'm still good. It'll just keep on running. It won't shut down. So that'll be all right. because what I'm wanting to do is, you know, this red black BIOS makes a lot of heat. It's not as noisy as it was now that I've got that noisy video card with a bad fan that was making even more noise. I realize now that ever since I put it in there, it was pretty loud. It was the fan that was making the most noise, but then when it started going bad, it made it bad noises, and I realized one of the fans was gone bad, and I thought it was going to be another one. It turned out to be that one, the brand new one that I had put in there. So my bargain fans didn't turn out good. I need to go write a bad review on that. I got 3 for $2 and something, but you know, if they're not worth $3, about $3. They're not worth $3 if they don't last over a month, you know, or 2. Of course, it was a month solid running day and night, which is, but that shouldn't wear them out, you know. I mean, none of these other machines, have done anything like that. Those old fans are older than a lot of people, you know, that are programmers today. So those old machines are, you know, some of them. I've got machines all the way from back in the 90s I don't know. I don't think I've got anything newer than like 3 or 4 years old right now. So, and my server will be from 2011, I guess, is when that was made. So that's why you can get it cheap now, you know. But I'm looking in case I'm missing something. Maybe they just name it different, you know, or hide it somewhere under another menu. ASF, BIOS boot timeout, OS boot timeout, power on wait time, mini watchdog timeout. I don't even know what mini watchdog is, but I don't care right now. It's not going to be anything like that, you know, what I'm looking for. Main, date, total memory, 2047. I got 2 gig of memory, 64 megabyte of video onboard memory. Oh, it's only 64 megabyte. Okay. Wouldn't be much good for watching videos or anything. The other laptops have 256. Same as my Lenovo i5 that I'm streaming from, which is not very good for very long. I have to if I'm watching lots of videos for hours, you know, I can usually go about 2 or 3 hours, and then I got to reboot the machine and do it again. Quick boot, enable, disable, network boot, disabled, F12 boot menu, D2D recovery, enabled. Now, unless D2D, I can go look that up, but I don't think that's got a thing to do with, you know, power failure. And SATA mode. Okay. No, don't change it. Accidentally hit the wrong thing. Okay, so there's nothing in there. So all I can do is hope that the power doesn't go out if I'm going to use it, which I think I'm going to use it. If it keeps working, then I'm going to go ahead and put my website on it and use it, because it won't make noise at all. I can't even hear it. It's really nice and quiet. And this one is not working hard, and the server's not really going to work hard very often. I'm going to do an exit discarding changes. Let's go ahead and do that now. And then when it gets booted back up, I'll move on. With the lid open, it doesn't get hot. I mean, the keys will get hot when they start getting hot. It doesn't even get warm. So, and even when you run it day and night. So, it's a good candidate for a laptop server, if a laptop can even be a decent server. I mean, the one plus is that they have a battery, and you know, when the power goes off for, well, in my case, up to about almost 2 hours, or a little over 2 hours is what it ran the other day. Then it should stay running, because I did turn off. Well, I don't know, when the battery shows to be critically low, maybe sooner than 2 hours, you know, to the system. So I when it's on power, it never shuts down the screen. Well, I did set the screen to go dark after 10 minutes because I didn't want it, you know, it was bothering me. And then, get back over here and switch back to the desktop. But when the oh yeah, I've rebooted. Okay, what is it I want to do? I want to copy my website over. That's the main thing I want to do. So I don't really need this right now. I think I'll just close the browser. Oh, Okay, so what I'm going to do, instead of doing it with Filezilla this time, I'm going to get into a remote shell and try Midnight Commander, and just to see how well it works. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. But I want to do do it. One of my last commands is root. That's the way I want to do it. Do it as root. Yeah, I messed up. See if I got it. Looks like I did. Okay, so I installed Midnight Commander. It's a twin panel file manager that runs in the terminal. And it'll run, I think it'll run just as a GUI app too. I think you can start it up in the GUI, but I like it. So I'm going to try it out. Let's see. Now, I don't know that it mattered where I was on the right side, but what I want. Yeah. You can use the mouse in here. I didn't know that. You can hit F9 on the keyboard and it'll put you up there, or you can use the mouse. And that's inside the terminal. Let's see. I don't know. You can't always do that. Depends on, I guess, how you. Well, since I'm doing a remote terminal, maybe that's why it's working. I'm not sure. Okay, so I want SFTP link, and I've done it before, but I don't want Dawn. I want root. Root at. Oh, that's the wrong machine. What is it? 182. 182. Oh wait. I'm on this machine. I can't do it this way because the reason I logged into 117 is because that's the red black BIOS star and it's up and running and it has an SSH server on it, and I was just trying it out last time. But I can log in to the Acer from my Lenovo i5, but I can't. This would be logging into the Lenovo i5 from the Acer, and I can't do that because I don't have an SSH server running on the Acer. So, yeah, F10 will exit. Whoops. It will if you're. Let's see if I click in there somewhere if it'll do it. No. I forgot how I got around that. Control C. No. Oh, go up here in the, let's see, whoops. Might be able to quit from up here. I didn't even ever try using the, there we go, what's that? Using the mouse because it didn't work the last machine I was using, and I guess it depends on what kind of terminal you're running and stuff too, probably. I think I was using the remote admin terminal. With Cockpit, and it probably doesn't do it, I guess. But I don't think you can just click on that. Oh, you can. You can click on the quit, because when I was hitting F10, it was making the menu come up in the terminal window. So now we quit that, and I guess I can leave it there. I'm logged in case I need it. But what I want to do is I'll go ahead and use Filezilla. I don't think I've been in. I'm trying to remember if I've been into this machine on Filezilla. I forget to move the mic sometimes when I start coughing. Let's see. I don't think I have any. I don't think I have any. 192.168.0.182 root. And I want to do port 22 SFTP
quick connect. All right, we're quickly connected. Now, I need to get to, we don't want the root folder, we want var. You can type in the window to get there. Actually, it's already there, I think. Yeah, and www, and then HTML. Now, that's where my website goes. And this, oh, I think it's still in my website backup. Yeah, IBM Fedora 23 server. It's still there because that was the last place I was at. So I'm just going to select all the files. You might be able to just select the folders, but, you know, just select the HTML folder and copy over, and I'm afraid it would put like HTML, you know, double, it would make a folder inside the folder or something. I'm not sure how this thing acts in that instance. So, and there are buttons up here, but I have not got used to them. I don't see a begin or upload button or anything. So I usually just make sure I've got them all selected, and be kind of careful or you'll deselect stuff when you start clicking around, but right click and upload. I held down shift to get them all selected if you didn't know that. It's pretty fast. This is a pretty fast app. It's got a lot of idiosyncrasies to me compared to, I've always used to use Crusader, but it either doesn't support it at all anymore, or you've got to set up RSA and keys, and then you need a pre-share key put in the folder, you know, and all that stuff of the SSH folders in each user. And I tried it once, I thought, but I was tired, I think, and not feeling too well, and I might have just messed it up. But it just keeps saying it doesn't support it. That's what it does. So, yeah, that doesn't take very long. And then my website, and I've already done my, let's see, I can't think of, let me look at my, yeah, there's no BIOS boot settings. Let's go back over here. Keep wanting to close the app. Well, I'm in the habit of closing the apps I don't want to use when I'm doing a stream because the machine will get overwhelmed easily. I should deselect those so that I don't accidentally delete them. I'd rather accidentally delete something on that side. Sometimes that happens. BIOS boot settings, none. Put no. Okay, now then. Plug it in the power supply, check. What did I just do? BIOS boot setting. What did I write that down for? Oh, I didn't read the whole thing. I put my note in the wrong place. Luckily, I use an erasable pen, so my little sticky notes don't get too bad. Okay. No, it's check BIOS, set always on. Okay. Okay. Not there. All right. Now, Fedora 29 installer. I was going to look that up, but I ended up didn't need it. But I still wonder what is the BIOS boot setting exactly. Adrian explained to me what it was, so I just thought it'd be good to look it up. So I can't re-explain it. Anyway, I don't really remember what he said right this minute. Copy website over. That's all I have on my list. I thought of something else a minute ago, just a second ago. I'm pretty sure I already set all the, opened up the ports I needed open, but I'll look at those. I kind of have some things about what I was going to, when I was running those tests on Rescue Tux, the newer version that he's working on right now, he sent me the ISO to run tests for him. I'm going to leave that, I'll leave that logged in. It doesn't use a lot of resources, and if I need it, I'll already be logged in. I don't have to do it again, like I'm going to have to do right now. But the web browser really uses a lot of resources, so it's really not good to leave. On this machine, it's on. See, that's the other reason I bought that server. One of the main reasons. I don't know if I said that. I want it as a desktop and a server for me, because it'll have all kinds of power. This is a quad core with 4 gig of RAM. I'm going to have 12 cores with 64 gig of RAM to play with, to work with. I can even edit videos again. I could edit videos, but I can't stand having them. It take, you know, a day or 2 or 3 on some of these older machines to render them. I can't do it on this machine, or else I won't be able to use it, you know. I mean, well, unless I'm doing one that I know will finish overnight, I can stand that because this machine's not loud or it makes a lot of heat. But it also takes me 6 to 8 hours to edit a video every time I do it. So that's why I just do live videos. Okay. Okay, what I want to know is networking. I don't know if that's what it is or not. Yeah, here it is. Firewall rules, 6 active rules. So cockpit was already there, 9090. DHCP version 6 client was already there. I put in the 443 for HTTPS. SSH was already there because I installed a very secure FTP. And virtual network computing server VNC, that was already there. Oh, because virtual network, I don't know. That was already there. I didn't put it because I wouldn't. If I put it in, I wouldn't have put 5900 to 5903. I didn't. I never use anything but 5900 for the apps. Or if I was going to use a web browser, I'd use 5800 because that's the standard ports. And then 80 for the website. Okay, so everything's good. Virtual network computing. A VNC server could be an external accessible accession. Oh, I installed KRFB in my desktop, and then I just clicked on open up VNC ports, and so that was what it did in Mate desktop. I used the the graphic app. Okay. That's why I didn't even know. I just clicked on the box that said VNC and didn't pay any attention. Go in and look and see what ports or anything. So that's what it does when you do that. You could change that if you're worried about it, but what I do is I don't let KRFB. KRFB is kind of the control interface, but what it does is when you install it, it installs KRFB, installs about 350 megabytes worth of stuff. And this VNC server that it installs is Tiger VNC, and it's really not as fast at all as the older one I used to use. Vinegary, is it? No, I think Vinegary might be the viewer I like to use. There's the viewer that I like right there. Yeah, Vinegary is the viewer. The server, I can't think of the name of it right now. But the reason I don't use it anymore, used to, it came with the Genome desktop, Genome 2. Just came with it. That's how I learned how to, it was already there, and I just started using it because I already knew how to use VNC. I used it in Windows. I used to use a Windows, freeware, shareware, Windows VNC app. And anyway, you could just turn it on and off in Windows. In the settings, in the system administration or preferences. Mate Desktop doesn't have that. I just recently saw that Genome 3 actually is supposed to have that built in. If you have it installed, it may come with it. I don't know, but you may have to install it. Anyway, it got to be such. I tried to set it up because I knew it was better than Tiger VNC because I had tried it out, and I never got it working. You had to run stuff in the command line, do this and do that, and I'm sure I just made mistakes or missed something. And maybe I just, I don't know. It's been a while since I've tried it, but I wanted a GUI way to turn it on and off because I don't have to go run a command every time I want it on or every time I want it off. I don't want it running all the time, especially on a server. I actually never used to install it on my server until I got to where I really needed to. I thought, it would make my life easier. But I just turn it. I don't have it running because you do have to open up that port in the software firewall.
but I don't open up that port on my router, you know. But some people do know how to break into routers, so that, and then with this port open, they've got a free way in, but not if it's not running. Now, if they get in there and figure out your, your passwords, like especially your root password, then they could just start it up. Except it's, I guess they could start it up in the terminal. I was going to say I don't usually run it in the, I'm not going to be running it in. The only time I run it in the Mate desktop is when I'm just doing some admin work that I need the GUI, and then I reboot it back into the terminal and I don't log in. So, of course, if I'm not logged out, that's another thing I've thought about. Okay, so if I'm not logged in, then they're free to log into either username. So if I'm logged in, I guess it makes no real difference. If they get the password, they get the password, and if they know how to do all that, they're gonna know. They're gonna know what to do. If you're not logged in, they'll log in. If you're if you are logged in, that'll just take over your username. So of course, if you're in Don, what I used to do is just log in as Don and leave it like that. But that does use resources for nothing. Well, before when I had Fedora 23 on the IBM, that's what I did. And because I just wanted it to be convenient, I click over there on my KVM switch and it's up and running, and I can do what I need to do and then go back. But I noticed that sometimes I go a couple of months with never touching it, because it ran so good. And I thought, whoa, really? And sometimes when the power would go out, it would reboot itself, and then I would, get to it, and it wouldn't be logged in. It would be in the login screen. But the login screen won't work. It won't come up. It won't work. I tried and on the NetProMax to get the login screen to work. I could log in with Mate Desktop to Dawn or root, either one, but I had to type startx, log in at the terminal and type startx. And I finally found out how to, I had installed XFCE first, and then I decided, well, maybe, and I couldn't get it to work, the login screen. So I thought, well, maybe I just need to get Mate on there so that I'll have more, maybe I can just turn it on in Mate, and I couldn't do it. So then I said, okay, well, it's just server, I don't need it that badly to be, have a login screen, just as long as it works. So I left it, and so I didn't try in this one. But oddly, I can't get Mate Desktop won't start up. It says permission denied, and some folder's not there. So when I kind of look back at my install in my video, and I thought, okay, I did it on remote terminal as usual, and I think I cannot remember now. I was looking at yesterday or day before. Anyway, I was doing like this in a remote terminal, and I don't remember if I was logged in as root like I am right now, or if I was logged in as Don and then SU as root. I can't remember. If I did that, then it should have worked in both users. But if I installed it in root, logged in as root, then that's when I can see why it wouldn't work in Dawn. So I thought, well, maybe I'll do it again. But then again, do I really even need it? Let's see if it's finished. No, it's still working. So, yeah, it's real easy to add a port. You just add service, and you can pick from what's in there, or you can type in your port, or you can type. I guess you could type in the service. But yeah, if you do it that way, then you'll get whatever port the defaults are in this, this little GUI remote admin thing. I'm just looking through them to see if there's what else is in there. I mean, I don't believe there's anything I want in there. I don't have FTP. Now, SFTP, actually, there's two ways they say it about it. If you want SFTP, you need SSH, not FTP. FTP is for, it doesn't do a secure connection. They're both, SFTP goes through SSH. FTP just goes through FTP. So, but you don't need FTP. Don't even want it. I don't want it being used. I just want SSH for remote shell and for SFTP. And there's one that's blank. I don't know what that one would be. Maybe you're just supposed to put your own port in there when you click on it. Red Hat high availability, network printing server. I'm planning on plugging in a printer to this, so IRC. Now, see if you did chat,
IRC chat, you might need to open that up. I don't know. I've never used the IRC chat. Then there's IRC TLS and SSL, iSCSI. Those are network drives. So if you're going to use that, you can even boot from them and stuff. I kind of checked into them several years ago and thought it was pretty cool, but I really didn't have anything I needed to do it with, you know. But virtual machine management. Now, see, some of that stuff I would need if I was when I set. Those are going to need to be open, I'm sure, when I set up my real server. But I imagine I'll either, well, if I'm going to do hypervisor, I'll probably use Red Hat hypervisor because they have recently opened it up. You know, I never saw anything free in Red Hat before. Red Hat's the parent company of Fedora. That's what you're doing when you run Fedora, is testing their newest stuff for them. And anyway, they've set up a program where you can sign up as a developer and like a mini developer or something, and you can run. I'm sure it'll be limited, but you can download and install and run certain Red Hat stuff, which is more towards enterprise. But that's more toward my server. What's listed it'll run is Windows Server, Red Hat Server, several others. It doesn't say anything about Fedora or Debian or anything else, but I do know that people do put several different Linux distros on those servers. I haven't paid a lot of attention to specifically to the HP because the guy that I like to, he's really taught me so much about it the last couple of years, is a guy named Morton, who has a YouTube channel called My Playhouse. And if he's not doing videos on servers, then he's doing videos on reconstruction on his house, or remodeling on his house. That's actually why he said he started his channel, but he didn't get very many views. And then one day he decided to do. He's a server admin guy. That's what he does for a living. He decided to do a video because he has a server room in his house, two racks of servers, and he's always buying stuff and playing with it and then selling it or giving it away if it gets too old, and keeps stuff for years and then gets old, like I do. And then some things that get so old you have to throw them away, you know. I haven't really thrown much away myself yet, but it's actually broken, like some old monitors and stuff. Took them apart, saved all the screws, saved the circuit boards, and then got rid of the tubes. They were, CRT monitors. Threw away the tubes and them plastic cases and stuff. Anyway, those screws have come in handy, and those some wire looms and stuff. Harness, like wire management stuff. But anyway, I've learned a lot from watching him, and I just enjoy watching his videos. And there's some other really smart people on there, but like if I watch software videos, some of them they only work in the command line, and some of them go so fast I can't follow them, or I don't want to work. I don't want to work in the command line if I don't have to. So, and well, he doesn't like to work in the command line, but he's also not into Linux. He's really into hardware, and when he puts software on them, it's mostly always Windows-based software. But I understand that stuff. That's what I did before I got into Linux, so it's easy for me to follow him. And but the hardware is what the software. I don't know anything about Red Hat other than the Fedora end of it. But that's why I do think I don't want Windows at all. I mean, I don't want that for 100 reasons. But if I did use for instance, like, he showed how to install ESXi, several different versions of ESXi over the years, and but if they have a free version, that's a hypervisor, really popular that's the other one that's always listed in what servers will run. That's a very popular enterprise hypervisor, but it's limited functionality for the free version. And I don't know if it's limited on how long you can use it or not. I don't remember. But I already knew that, Red Hat had hypervisors. And I know you can do virtual. Well, they used to, in Fedora and in Red Hat, they were running something they called KVM. And I always thought that was funny because I've had that KVM switch for 10 plus, no, going on 19 years or something now. And
So that's what I always knew as KVM was KVM switches, but they called their virtualization software that they liked the best of KVM. But then they went on to different things like Docker, and their new one is I still can't remember if it's called Atomic, or I don't think it's Atomic. I think it's not Automatic. Automatic's their automatic update system. I need to look and see what that's called. I keep trying to say it and can't remember. To see all these different ports, network time protocol, OpenVPN. You might need, depending on what you're running, what you might need to open, but it's really easy to. Most of the things that you would use are already in here, and all you got to do is click on them to open them and close them. If you have Windows machines and you need to network with them, there's the Samba server, Samba client, and I don't know what Samba DC is actually. I used to always set up a Samba server and have Samba client, on my Windows machines, and then have a Samba client. Well, actually, I'd set up a Samba server. I'd set up a Samba server on my Linux machines, and then use the Samba client to connect to the normal Windows networking. You didn't need Samba; you just used the Windows networking. But if I was on a Windows machine and needed to connect to a Linux machine, then I would connect to it. The Samba is what would serve up what Windows can use, can talk to. Sane, that's for scanners and stuff like that. SIP for internet phones. So mail. What is that? Sync thing, GUI, I never heard of that. Sync thing. Synergy, that's the one I was trying to think of. That's another one where where you can control another machine. They describe it as being like KVM switch, but only with software. You control another machine, or it's like VNC. But from what I remember, it's been years ago since I tried it out. It was limited functionality, and I already liked VNC, so I didn't bother messing with it. But it's supposedly pretty good and pretty popular. But Telnet, that's for you can use that to boot over the network, and TFTP, that's how you would transfer the file, and Tink VPN, I don't know what that one is. Tor Sox, Tor Proxy, Sox Proxy. Transmission, that's a BitTorrent client, and well, of course, there's the servers out there somewhere. And UPnP client, that's like media stuff, like showing media, let it show up on your network so you can play it. Virtual Desktop and Server Manager, never heard of that one. So there's stuff just from looking at the ports here in the Fedora server, not only tells you what it could do for you, but you might learn about something you never even heard of before. WebM, that's Google's codec, audio video codec, and that they don't push so much anymore. WSMan, I don't know what those are. XDMCP, I ever used to know what that was. Zabbix, I remember seeing and hearing of that, but I don't think I ever learned about it. So anyway, let's go check up. Still working. So it's taking longer, it seems like, this time. You know what? I know why, too. Because I thought it was surprisingly fast, because it's about 2 gigabytes. This laptop, the wired connection is 100 megabits. And the wireless is 56, but it should be just using the wired. Let's go look. Hopefully it is. Yeah, see, it's only copying on the wired. It's not. I mean, if it was using them both, that'd be great, like, bringing up your speed. But what it does by default, and that's what I would want, is your wired is your default in this server anyway, and the Fedora 29 server. But if you unplug the cable, see what happened, then it automatically sent everything through the wireless. So you got a backup network connection. But where was I now? Was I in the firewall? I think I went somewhere else. I have no idea where I was now when I was talking. Okay, can you go back? Let's see. You can go back a couple. I have a mouse. That's one thing I love from Microsoft. My Microsoft IntelliMouse. I've had it 18 or 19 years. It's got your regular right click, left click, and the scroll wheel, but it also has a left and right back and forward buttons for like on a web browser or any other application that has back and forward in it. But that's what I do to go back and forward. You don't ever see me clicking back and forward up there because I don't have to. So I don't know if they still make a mouse like that. I definitely wouldn't know what to do without it. There's a bit of, sometimes you accidentally click it when you don't mean to, or I used to. I don't do it so much anymore. Okay, that's back to where I was. So anyway, I lost complete track of where I was and what I was showing. But wasn't in the, okay, yeah. Now the next one back from there, I guess I was in the firewall. I was just talking about all this stuff. So I went to the networking. Oh, I was talking about, okay, so files, so this machine is 100 megabit. So the top you're going to get is probably 95 or 98 or something like that megabits. That NetProMax, which was, the one I was making my server until its Ethernet quit working one day, is a onboard gigabit. And I kept, when I would transfer files to that thing, I was like, man, that's fast. I thought that took a lot longer than that, especially like my whole website. Finally, one day I got to checking the specs on it, and it's had a onboard gigabit. So I'm really mad that it's not working, and I'm hoping it's software and it'll be fixed, like it's just a bug in like the firmware. The last update, Fedora 29's firmware broke it. Because if it's the hardware, then that means the motherboard's beginning to fail. And that's the IBM. It ran great for all those years. I don't remember how many now, 3 or more, 3 to 5. It started, a couple of USB ports died on it. So that's one of the other reasons why I switched to the other machine. And I figured, it's getting worse and worse. But of course, I could, with all the machines I've got, if I could put other motherboards in them or something, as long as the power supplies are good. That's usually what goes bad first, is the power supplies. But I actually have 2 AMD dual-core motherboards and RAM setups that need I've got boxes, but I don't have power supplies because they're newer. And these power supplies I'm talking about, these single-core machines, they don't have, well, they have 20-pin connectors for the motherboard. I need 24-pin. And I looked one day and I just looked at adapters, see if there was some available, because I thought, well, why can't you just use the other unused Molex connectors, that would go to a hard drive that you're not using or whatever. And but some of them may be for sensors or something. I really don't know what those other 4 pins are for. So I didn't get into any serious research, but because the machines, the newer dual cores, you don't need any more power or even as much as some of the single cores, especially the Pentium ones, like the Pentium 4s. So like that one was in an old E machine, and the motherboard had a bad cap syndrome, and I bought another motherboard. Well, I already had another motherboard, and a brand new one. That AS Rock, the one that I put the 8300 processor in, which didn't, the Ethernet wouldn't work on it, and also I found out that the onboard video doesn't work on it either. I didn't notice it at first because I had a video card in it. That little it's a dual core AMD processor that was in that. I put the AS Rock motherboard in that E Machines box with its RAM and its processor, and it's actually like it's not a very powerful one, but it only had like a 250 or so watt power supply in it, and it ran okay but it did always act up, and it was slow. And I finally figured out after having it I didn't use it all the time. I had Windows 7 on it, and I put Linux on it, and nothing ever really ran very good. I finally realized after a long time, took a couple of 3 years, but like I said, I didn't use it enough to really figure it out until a long period of time. The power supply is it's finally about to die. It got to where it would just crash all the time, no matter what, Windows or Linux or whatever. And I finally realized it's the power supply. And I put another power supply in it, and it ran great. One that was known good, and it ran great. So that's when I finally figured that out. And then Mom's old dual-core AMD 2.0 gigahertz. It's the ones just before the FX processors, and it's so that other AMD I would equate that to a Celeron, like a Celeron D of the Intel, and this one of Mom's was more like an Intel, like more like a Pentium, type of processor. It was a faster one. It was, I think, the fastest one at the time, or of the 2.4 gigahertz. And I'm leaving it here so we'll know when this is finished. And let's see, I guess I should close some of this extra stuff. Right now I have the ASRock motherboard in her box with the 8300 processor and 8 gig of RAM, but it's not working right, so I bought the Asus motherboard. It's an M5A78LM Plus. That should work just perfect with that 8300 processor. Better, and it better not be broken, because I'm sure my return window's over and I never have got it in the machine and tried it out yet. Should have just done it, I guess. But hopefully it will. Usually they do, But so I'm going to take the ASRock out and put that in there, and so then it'll be 8300 8-core. If you didn't know what 8300 is, that's an 8-core. There's 8100s or 8200s. I know 83s and 85s. But when that ASRock, it supported 8-core processors, but the 8300 hadn't even been invented yet. It was the very first versions of 8 cores it supported. And there's a list on the ASRock website of which ones will work, but I did a bunch of research. People were like, I already have this motherboard, and I wonder if it'll work. And some people tried it and said, yeah, it works. But what I decided was, what I saw, was people said, yeah, it works, but you don't want to do it because it doesn't have heat sinks on the VRMs, the voltage regulator modules. But I wasn't going to overclock it or anything from my mom. These are always gamers that talk about that stuff online, and they're overclocking everything. And so I thought, well, it should be all right, and if it's not, well, then I'll have to buy the motherboard. Well, the two problems I had, what I just told about, the Ethernet not working, and it did work before in Fedora 26 with that dual-core processor that came out of the E-machines. So I knew it should work. And then when I realized also the onboard video, I thought, this thing's going to be squirrely and it could just crash and stuff. So I got her new motherboard, and I got to rebuild her machine again, and so then I'll have her original dual-core 2.4 gigahertz, her RAM, because I had bought new RAM too, her motherboard, a BioStar motherboard, all that works. Needs a box and power supply, but it's a minimum $50 for like a 500 to maybe 550 watt, maybe 600 watt power supply when you watch them on sale. And at first I thought, well, that's dual-core machine's not really worth $50, or maybe closer to 60 by the time you're all said and done. But the more I think about it, and the more I mess with these old single cores, and there's lots of things you can do with them. You can, they're not good at, running the web browser, running Firefox, even in Debang. Debang's a lot lighter weight, and you can run Debang on them. But they're not good at running Firefox. They just don't have enough, I guess because they're only single core. They're the IBM's 2.5 gigahertz, and the NetProMax is 2.8 gigahertz, but they're Celerons. They're not Pentiums. There's a huge difference in the power they have, and but they make great servers when the other things don't break on them, and they're not quite as much. They do make heat, but not as much as the old Pentium 4 does. I'm pretty sure of that, and they're great for a server, something that doesn't need multi-cores. Like if all you were going to do is word processing and stuff like that, you can edit video. I edited video. I did like a 1 hour or 1.5 hour video on my Pentium 4. Had no problems running Kdenlive and editing it at all. Then the encoding took over 24 hours though. I had to run it day and night I know it was running 2 nights. It was longer than that, 24 hours.
but it did it just fine. It's just that I had to listen to that thing and have that heat here. Go to bed with it 2 nights, 2 nights in a row with all that noise and heat. And the heat during the day while I was working on my machine. Because if you try to, and now when I get that server, I should be able to render videos while I'm doing any other thing I want to do. I should be able to run my server 24/7, my desktop OS, which will be Fedora 28 or 29, and I could even run like I could set up another virtual machine just for like video editing and stuff, and let that be doing, give it enough RAM and everything to, and just let that do the rendering and everything of the video. Actually, I could probably do it if I set up my server. I'll use Fedora. I imagine I'll be using Fedora server still, and if I put a desktop on it, then I could just put some video editing apps in there too, since it's going to be running 24/7 anyway. Whichever way I thought would be best, I could always run just it 24/7, or I could run 2 VMs 24/7 while I'm, when the videos are being rendered and stuff. Because it's not that I just never want to edit videos. It's just that it adds so much more, like 6 to 8 to even 10 hours of video editing time plus the rendering time, and I've just never had a good place to do it. I was afraid to put the machines out in the garage because I thought the heat would kill them. But when I was watching Morton's videos, he was showing the temperatures in his server room in the summer, and he lives in Denmark, I think it is. It doesn't get hot there. I live in Texas. I live in North Texas, and it gets, last summer it was 110 to 115 for a week. Now, if you're in South Texas, it's even hotter than that, down closer to Mexico. But, you'll get more days of heat. It'll be about the same temperatures, I guess, but of that week, But, and that was, it's kind of, we don't get like the long hot summers we used to get. We usually have mild until, sometimes it's in July, sometimes it's in August when it gets really hot. We usually have a couple of weeks to a month of really hot weather in the last 5 years or so. But in the winter, it's like today. It's 70 right now. It's 77 degrees at 2:45 p.m. A couple days ago, we had the coldest days of the year. Just 3 or 4 days ago, and it was down 25 degrees. During the day, it was 25 degrees. So for almost a week, we had 25 to 30 degree weather, and now we're at 77 degrees. It's really changed, and it goes back and forth, in the winter especially. Most of the time, in the fall and the winter and the spring is real overall pretty nice weather anymore. But anyway, forgot why I got to talk. Oh, putting the machines in the garage, and I had the IBM in the garage that week. I had it like a couple weeks before that, but during that week, I thought, oh, that thing's going to die out there. But I had a big fan on it the whole time it was out there, like a 24-inch fan blowing at it and at the router, because the router could die too. I think the router might have got damaged because ever since then it hasn't worked good. And it was doing on the Wi-Fi. It was doing 54 megabits always, the full max that it was supposed to do. It always did that, and it had a dead port on the wired for several years, but the other 3 ports were still working fine. It's a 4-port router, and it has an uplink port. I was noticing when I bought my switch, you got to pay attention because they don't put uplink ports on them anymore. When they say 4 ports, they mean 4 ports. Used to, if it was a 4-port router, it would have 4 ports and an uplink uplink port, the port to go to your other router or to your modem or whatever you're doing. With a switch, you really need a router because it's not going to put out any IP addresses. Well, actually, your modem will put out. Actually, you could hook it to our modem with Charter Spectrum. They do have a DHCP server on them, and you can plug a switch straight into it. But anyway, I bought an 8-port switch, but one port's taken up as the uplink.
So, but it was just enough for me. It was actually just enough for me. That way, with that Linksys about that, well, it's in the garage, just set up as a wireless repeater, and that's what I'm going to do. Well, actually my TP-Link's not plugged in or anything to anything right now. It's waiting for me to set it up as a wireless repeater, put DDWRT on it, and then actually I can't even put anything out in the garage right now the way that Linksys is not working well, you know. But anyway, with that IBM didn't miss a beat during all that hot weather. It was later on in the fall, and it was cool weather, like in the 50s, 40s, and 50s. 40s, 50s, and 60s, I'm sure. But anyway, I remember when it happened, it was somewhere around the 45 to 50 range. We had a stormy night, and power kept going on and off. And I didn't even think nothing about it because that happened. You know, the power does that every once in a while. And Fedora, Vein or Fedora, they're really good about not breaking even if you like unplug it while it's running. Even if the file system gets damaged when you boot it back up, FSCK will run automatically and fix it. But it had broken the root partition, and I tried to fix it and I couldn't. And what I found out is FSCK can't fix. It's inside of an LVM now, and it didn't used to be. It used to be in its own primary ext4 partition. Now it's inside of an LVM. It's still ext4, not on the server though. I found out it's XFS, but on the desktop, or at least at Fedora 20. What was that? Fedora 20. What was on the IBM? Oh, it was Fedora 23. Fedora 23. It was a ext4 in a primary partition, and then so was home, and then boot was, and then there was swap. Everything was ext4 except for swap. And anyway, oh, I'm sorry. Even on Fedora 23, it was inside the LVM, and that's why I couldn't fix it, because FSCK couldn't fix an LVM. So it took me forever to figure it out. I kept trying to fix it, and I said, why doesn't it fix, you know? Because I manually ran it, and it ran, and it said it was successful. But what it was doing, it was just working on the boot partition, making sure it was okay. But it was turned out, finally figured out. The reason I figured it out is because I could mount everything in a live OS except for the root partition. So I finally figured out, okay, it's broke. And so I decided to just go, you know, I had been planning on updating to the newer Fedora anyway. So at that time it was Fedora 20. Fedora 29 hasn't quite come out yet, and I put Fedora 28 on the NetProMax. I decided I wanted to go to 64-bit machine. I said that a couple times today. And I put it on the NetProMax, and then I messed around with setting up a DNS server. And I wanted to make a DNS, advertising DNS server to authoritative advertising DNS server. I wanted it to tell the internet where my website was, so I wouldn't have to use forwarding services. And after I got it all set up and it looked like it was running okay and it should be seen on the internet, and I tried to forward my domain names to it that I get with GoDaddy, and it wouldn't let me do it unless I had two external IP addresses. And I thought I could get around it by using one of my afraid.org forwarding IP address. That didn't work. I don't remember why. It didn't squawk it, but I don't remember why it didn't work now. But so I was like, well, I can't, you know, even if, you know, my ISP offers that, I'm not going to be spending that kind of money every month, you know, for two separate IP addresses. So I know you can get a static IP with a business plan, but it's real expensive and you use the exact same speed. So I forgot about, you know, I nixed that idea and just put, and by that time Fedora 29 had come out, so I put Fedora 29 server on it. And I ran it for a month, maybe two. And I was really just, other things were going on, other machines were breaking, and I was having to work on them, the fans and stuff. Still not getting back to my mom's machine yet. And then one day it was offline. You know, I have services, the free services that
ping your website and see if it's online. And all my websites were down one day, and I went and checked into it, and I had no Ethernet connection. So, and I'd spent a day trying to figure it out and didn't figure it out. So I thought, well, I've been thinking about this laptop forever, making it a server. So I'm just going to do that because I thought it might be easy. But then one thing led to another. I was trying to put it. I knew the hard drive was probably not a good. I thought it was probably not a good candidate, and I tried putting it on an SD card, and that was easy, but it wouldn't. I couldn't figure out a way to get it boot. And during those videos, that's when Adrian started. He started commenting and trying to help me. And then we started actually, chatting on Skype and stuff. And he joined me on one of the videos, and he showed me some stuff, and I tested. I was the one where I tested his ISO. Well, no. I was testing. We were going to see if it would work on the ext4 partitions. He wasn't sure, I guess, if Debian could do that. That's what he built it on. Debian, that was Debian 8. Yeah. And the new one he's working on right now was building on Debian 9, and he wanted to see if it didn't work in Debian 9, he couldn't work on the ext4 partitions, and he might wait until Debian 10 is supposed to come out pretty soon. I think he was going to change to Debian 10, I believe. Don't try to quote me on none of that because I remember things bad, but that's what I'm thinking. He said. But I think it's this laptop just doesn't have the capability. It doesn't see the SD card in the BIOS. It doesn't have any provision for SD card. It has an SD card slot and everything, and it works fine. And I, was installed to the SD card several times, but I just couldn't. And I was trying to work around. I was trying to get what I had thought. Well, I'll take this old hard drive it was already in there. But okay, I'll put grub on the hard drive and point it to the SD card. That's what he was trying to help me do, and that I couldn't get that to work. So, and that's what he does, If he can't do it, nobody can. Well, you can't say that for sure, but So anyway, there's always little things that somebody figures out, one way or the other. But anyway. Then he gave me that tip on the hard drive, moving the first partition in 10 or 20 megabytes. So I just went ahead and did 20 megabytes, and because that's where all the files keep getting rewritten over and over is at the beginning of the drive. And when he said that, I thought, I think I've heard or read that before about that. Never, but I don't know. But I don't know that I ever heard anybody say about moving your partition up. I don't remember that one way or the other. Anyway, I did it, and now it's running, and that's what we're doing right now is trying to finish getting it up. Setting up as my web server. I was worried once I started realizing I don't know if I can turn the BIOS, to tell it to be always when the power comes. If your power goes out, when it comes back on, boot back up. Then I thought, oh, it won't make a server, or this laptop wouldn't make a server at all. Maybe I've never tried it before on a laptop. Only thing that really even made me think about it is when I got this one. And the Dell 1525, a friend of mine found him in a laundromat where he lived, and he is not into computers at all. He doesn't use them at all, and they were in a box, and they said, "Take them if you want them." And so he took them and brought them to me, and when I got into them, they had one or both of them had Windows servers set up on them, and I recovered the files. I mean, they were all broken and everything, but I fixed them. I don't know if I had to use test disk or what. I can't remember. Full of viruses, both of them. This one had a broken screen, and one of them, I don't know. I think I swapped hard drives. One of them had this bad wearing out hard drive, and so anyway, I put all the best stuff in the Dell 1525 because this screen was good, and I've been using it for years. Right now, that's what Mom's using as her machine, and I got Debian 9 on it. And so it's a dual core, with 3 gig of RAM. It runs fine on Debian 9, especially for her because she doesn't watch videos and all that stuff. All she does is just mostly do her shopping and stuff, check emails. Yeah, this is just like painfully slow on the
there's a lot of difference between 100 megabits and 1,000 megabits. I guess a gigabit is technically could be 1024, you know. So like a gig of RAM. I'm not sure about that, but yeah. I mean, that thing finished so fast. I was sitting there talking and like I'm doing right now, thinking, oh boy, maybe I should go and come back, and it was done. This one, I've talked until my throat's dry, and I don't know where it is in there. I mean, you can tell where it is if you pay attention. Let's see. I think the newest ones are on top. Where are we? We're in the MP3 folders, but that's just, it doesn't go in ABC order though, so it's kind of hard to tell where you are. No failed transfers, that's always good. Successful, there's 759 successful transfers. So, oh, okay, so it's 759 successful, and there's 13,741 to go. I mean, the total queued files 13,741. There's only 759 files transferred. So this is not something I can sit here and wait on like I've been doing. I just kept kind of jabbering, thinking, well, it'll be done in a minute. No, it's not going to be done in a minute. It said, oh, I thought it was 2 gigabytes. It says Q 1.1 gigabyte. So I don't know if that's the total or if what's queued. Well, no, the Q means what you put in there, I think. So everything you put in there. So I guess it's 1.1 gigabytes, how much all my files are. That's pretty slow. But think about it. I had to start paying attention to what kind of Ethernet connection I had on all the machines. This Lenovo 5 has a gigabit on board. And I was lucky because, you know, we had 60 megabit download and 10 up. No, yeah, 5 up with our ISP until a few months ago. They decided to jump it on up. It's 200 down and 10 up. 10 up's not good really, but that's what we've got. But the 200 down, of course, this is on my internal network, but there was a huge difference in the download. I could really notice the difference. Not a huge difference, but I could can really tell the difference when I download like if I download an ISO that's 3 gigabytes, it's pretty darn fast compared to when it was 60. 60 was pretty fast compared to the one before it, like 30, I think. But so we're back to 100 megabit transfer rate here instead of gigabit. So yeah, that's going to take a while. So I'm just going to have to let it work, and I don't know what I may do. My throat is getting very tired and dry. I may just stop this video and start another one. You know, when it's done and I can actually do anything else to it. You know, do another video, because there's no sense in me just keeping on jabbering, especially with my throat getting sore. It's kind of getting sore. Let's see. Copy the website, doing that right now. There was the other things I wanted to look up. There's only that one thing. Well, there's 2 things that I said maybe I should. Oh, what did I do with? Oh, I wrote them down on another note. There it is. Some of this might actually be, I could have been looking those up instead of telling stories. I think I probably lose people when I tell stories anyway. Then again, maybe they like the stories better than the work. Well, I like a good story, but if I'm there for the work, I want to see the work when I'm watching videos. Depends. Okay. D2D recovery, BIOS, in BIOS, and SATA mode, AHCI. D2D recovery, that I'm wondering what that is. I think I will close the remote terminal, even if it just helps a little bit on the bandwidth there to that machine. Hadn't thought about that. Okay, I'll look up a couple of those things. Then I'm pretty sure it won't be done for a good while, and then I'll probably go. I think I'll be needing to, I'm already feeling like I'm going to need a break for long anyway, so. Oh, good thing I saw my preview. I thought I was on the desktop. Okay. Let's see. Acer Laptop. I'm going to get the model and everything, so I won't be. There it is. Doesn't seem to want to let me get out of there. I'm going to hit paste and search, and then I'll add to it. How to open BIOS in Acer. Are you kidding? F2. Or watch the screen and see what it tells you it is, no matter what machine you're on. Some of them don't tell you, or it goes by so fast you can't read it. D2D recovery. D2D recovery. Solved. That fix your site usually doesn't show. Oh, mostly all it does is advertise to pay people to answer your questions. It doesn't usually tell me anything. Sometimes I go there and I'll be surprised. But let's go there since it's the top thing. Sometimes it's actually, and I notice sometimes when they have solved in all caps, it's not no more solved than abandoned moon. Okay. Where is data recovery disk? Okay, I guess that's what D2D or area on the hard drive. Will not boot in Windows Vista. Home, I think. Repair options says Windows cannot repair the problem, and to restore Windows from the disk, it does not give me option of looking for a startup program on the hard disk. Cannot afford repairman, blah, blah, blah. Alt F10. Disk to disk. So D2D is disk to disk. So it actually did answer my question. Without the CDs. That's only if your partition, I've dealt with those. That's only if your recovery partition is there, not broken or deleted or anything. Yeah, here's the thing where it's always, sometimes that's basically all you see is this little thing here. You don't see any answers whatsoever. So you can go and pay them to answer your questions. I don't know how this works. I mean, sometimes you get an answer and sometimes all you really see is some questions and then this little thing. So that was actually just what I wanted without a lot of fuss and muss. Okay. So you never know. Sometimes Google's pretty good about, okay, I need a folder just for the Acer general info. I've got special folders here, so I guess I'll make a new folder. I've just recently reorganized this by alphabetical order, so there's not going to be. I'll do info. Whoops, I didn't type it right. Now we'll have to go fix our mistake. Info. Yeah, that was about the passwords being frozen, and I found that on their site. I'm not sure which one is the right one. I'll go there just for not to go through the whole thing. Okay, now here's the posts about it, and then this one is the fix on their site. So I don't know if you search. I don't know how to a good way to make it. That's a hard URL. I mean, you could you could pause the video and type that out. I guess I could hardly get that right myself. But anyway, there's the instructions right there. It's on their site. I found it through that. It's like forum posts or whatever you want to call this here, where they question and answer on their site, communityacer.com. But I did, I found it through Google. So, but it still acts funky, even though it did work. It's pretty funky on that's my. Okay. I'm going to put this over on the 5 because that's where I usually put that when I use it, and I keep wanting to click over there. It still only says 766. Surely it can't. It's been writing away. It does look like it's moving pretty slow, though. These files are only MP3s. It's not like they're videos or something. I think it's running much slower. I think my data throughput is much slower than 100 megabits. That's what I'm afraid of. I don't know if that tells you what speed you're getting in here somewhere or not. I haven't ever tried to look. Anyway, so there's that. I usually put my Google searches in my little recent search folder too. Okay, so I probably at some time used that and saw D2D and then completely forgot. BIOS SATA mode. Let's look that one up now. How to change it. No settings on the BIOS. Solve. The mode of BIOS should change AHCI. Okay. Well, that's on the Acer. Let's see. How to change the settings. Pay attention, I might be on a different machine. Aspire E5741. Yeah, that's not what I got. I said 4630Z. There must not be one directly about that machine. Well, let's kind of look through it. Wait. Yeah, that's all the wrong machine. Must not. Oh, there's one. Tom's Hardware is a good one. Usually you might have a bunch of back and forth in the forum. Sometimes they even argue. Usually there's, if they, no, never allow. I don't want nobody tracking nothing on me. Usually, even somebody will come in, like whoever runs the site or something, and give a good answer, even if they don't. Okay, I'm going to see if it has AHCI anywhere on this page. I guess I should have, I think they're just, yeah, I don't know. This time it may not be. This time it may not be. BIOS is in there. This is not even anything to do with what I looked up. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and go to this one, even though it's not the same model. It might be the same BIOS. AHCI. Oh, this one says it has no setting. Okay. Yeah, it was already in AHCI. Okay,
what it boiled down to. Sometimes the videos get right to the point, and sometimes they don't. But sound stopped working. I don't even think that one will be, but I just saw it. Okay. Enabling SATA mode to HCI XP after XP install. Want to enable it after installing XP. Read on. Long read. Did this on the Acer so-and-so. They say it works on most laptops at the beginning there. I just wanted to know what is. Wow, that's a lot of stuff there. They wasn't kidding. Well, this is kind of, they're trying to do it in a manual way. Let's see. Oh, BIOS, SATA mode, AHC. I didn't finish really typing out a good search. Already been to that one. Okay, let's see. In archive, let's see. Yeah, see, this is what I was thinking. Anything but IEDE, when I did try it out just to see what would happen, it didn't work. That's why I was surprised, but since it was working, I didn't mess with it. I wasn't having trouble seeing the hard drive or anything. Whatever it all is, I'm not having that kind of trouble. Maybe I would. It might have been a problem if they're having trouble trying to install Windows 7. Advanced Host Controller Interface. That's what it is. That's what I wanted to know. Makes NCQ native command queuing along with hot plugging or hot swapping through SATA, serial ATA, host controller possible. Vista was the first to offer the feature. The issue with HI is it needs to be enabled in BIOS prior to OS installation. Oh. Doing so after you have installed the OS will disable the PC. Reason why is in Windows disables the HCI drivers not needed during installation. Okay, there we go. That's what it is. And I did it right just because I figured if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I left it like it was. I figured it was a default. Okay, I'm getting to know this thing, and then if I'll put it away and not use it, what may happen. And I'll forget it all. But hey, you never know. Sometimes that stuff pops into my mind, like especially, you know, sometimes when somebody asks me a question about something, a machine they have or something, and they start talking about it, you know, next thing you know, something pops into my head, and maybe I can't remember it all, but I will be able to go to my bookmarks and find it, or go look up on Google again or whatever. But anyway, I like to learn stuff. But I'm getting more and more trouble remembering what I've learned. Okay.
BIOS boot. This is one I was really interested in. BIOS boot setting. Oh, this is in the Fedora 29 installer, the net install. It's called BIOS-boot setting. Okay, Fedora 29 installer. BIOS boot setting. Now, all right. Let's see what we got here. Booting the installation. Preparing to boot. Oh. Okay. And when it says important and warning, read those first on Fedora's docs. Oh, okay. It doesn't support it on 32-bit systems. Only BIOS boot is supported on these systems. It only supports a version 2.2 of UEFI specification. Hardware that supports 2.3 or later will boot and work normally, but additional functionality defined by these later specifications will not be available. The UEFI specifications are available from so. Okay, very interesting. Yes. I just always turn off UEFI. Let's see. Actually, one time I tried it in Windows 7 on, I think it was that Dell 1525 laptop or something that had the UEFI. It might have been the ASRock motherboard. I think it was, because I don't think that 1525 has UEFI. I tried it because I thought I had to do Windows 7, and something was going wrong over and over. I kept trying to fix it, and finally I looked it up or whatever, or maybe the error messages. I think maybe the error messages told me. Anyway, I turned off UEFI. I never can say that right. Most people just say EFI, I guess, because they have the same trouble I do. I turned it off. No more problems. So now I don't know about Windows 10. It may be the opposite. But let's see. I think I will make its own folder. Select all tabs. Bookmark tabs. Just leave it like that. Okay, very good. Now, the mystery solved. Adrian explained to me, I don't remember, I kind of wrote a few notes, now I don't even know. I know they're in all these notes somewhere, but what he explained to me was more the technical back end of it. And so I still didn't know. I mean, I kind of got what he was saying, honestly didn't get it all. It was a sidetrack from what we were doing, and so he just did it, kind of really quickly, kind of said some stuff. But now I see what it's actually for and what the deal is. That's what I was wanting to know. Why would I not want to select that? I was thinking that it might be what I was thinking, that is, if it was if I turned that on, I wondered if it would let it see the SD card somehow. And it would boot from I could boot from the SD card. But he told me no, and then he kind of explained it. So I didn't try it. I didn't want to waste time. All right, so that's all my notes I have. Notes to self that I have. And we're all the way up to 800 successful transfers, 831. This, golly, I can't believe.
I wish I had. I've been meaning to. I would like to have like. I figured you'd have to set up a speed test server. There's bound to be some easy way, maybe like a portable speed test app that you could just set over on your one machine, and then ping it. I mean, you can do a ping, and you can see how fast long it takes to ping a machine, but do that in the terminal or with a GUI app or whatever. But that wouldn't help. I wouldn't make any sense in my head. But I wish I could run a regular speed test and get the megabits per second on my local network between machines. Because sometimes something's like doing slow like this, and I don't know what's going on or why. And like here I am stuck, going to have to wait for, it looks like a couple of hours or more, and it shouldn't take that long. On 100 megabits, when I had 60 megabit download speed, a gigabit would take I don't know, 10 minutes probably, maybe not even that long. And I've been talking forever and doing everything else. It's just painfully slow. So I think it's transferring at like 10 megabits or something is what I'm thinking. As few as it's done out of that many files, and most of them are really small files, but right now it's doing I think it's still doing, yeah, it's doing music files and stuff. Now that is an actual video. I do have a few videos on there. It's doing some videos, and of course they're going to be slow, and it will speed up when it gets past the media files, and it's just doing HTML files and stuff. It's going to like skyrocket speed, you know. But I mean, going from, I guess it makes sense. You got a gigabit connection between machines, because the Nova Wi-Fi's gigabit and the ASRock was gigabit straight machine to machine. It was it was probably 5 minutes. But you know, I mean, 100 megabits versus 1,000 megabits. I guess that's just the way it is. It's probably, I'm just wondering if it's doing like, it's probably, you know, maybe 30 or 50 megabits or something instead of like 95 or 100 or something. I don't, well, I can't do that now. Well, there is a way to, that would just slow things down for this. I could go in there and do a speed test in the shell and just see what it's getting on the internet. I'll do that, I think. So I wish I'd left that open now. Okay, so I guess it matters what user I am. Let's see. Now I don't know the commands, but I have done it before. I need my browser to go look it up. If you've never ever done that before yourself, then this will be interesting. I'll just start with the first one and see if that gives me the commands right away. How to test the speed using command line. There we go. Oh, you got to install the speed test CLI. Okay. Don't get too ahead of yourself here. This is apt. I said Fedora, Google. Let's see, maybe they've got it for Fedora down here. Yeah, there's Fedora. Okay, so it's not Google, it's me. DNF install what? DNF install Python, DNF install speed test, CLI, speed test CLI, launch a utility. Let's see if I have it on there first. Well, no, let's try. I just didn't want to install. You know what? I don't want to do that right now, because all that's going to do is make this take that much longer. But that is a very interesting thing to know. Okay. I'm going to put that in my folders and store it away for later. By the time I get all that done, I'm actually really beginning to need a break right now. So Linux. How did I do that? Terminal commands. There we go. For working in the terminal. Okay, so yeah, if you ever wondered
yes, you can do that. And that's I guess I did that and I just forgot that it's really actually pretty darn simple. What's that one there? Arch and Manjaro Linux. So I would be doing Fedora. Okay. Now I'm going to close these extra things. Already logged in. I can ping it. Let's see. Oh, you got to ping the IP address, I think. How come it's not going back to my other? I thought it just went in line of what you did, but I think it tries to bring up related commands. What, some of those commands, I don't remember ever running them. Ping 192.168. Oh, I wonder if you can do this. I think you can do that. Yeah, google.com. Use some of those commands that you usually use for other purposes. Oh, you gotta. Well, of course, you see, it's just really, really short for just a little ping. That doesn't give you a speed test. Let's see. I'm just going to do that and see what happens. I knew that wouldn't work. Okay, because that's a command. Okay, so I think I have some link. I did install those text-based web browsers. That's what I'm thinking. And you might actually be able to do a text-based speed test. I don't remember what all. That's probably going to be the ones that are available and the ones that are installed. Oh yeah, see, now I'm giving it stuff to do. Uh-oh. No such thing. Okay, I'm going to quit. I need to break. I need that break. Okay, anyway, it's probably doing fairly well. You know, it's just that I'm getting impatient because I had forgotten just how slow transferring I guess I have forgotten how slow transferring a gig is. I don't think so. I just can't say that. I think that it is that the wired Ethernet here is working very slow, very slow. Maybe it's the cable I'm using. I know it's not my router. I don't know if it's plugged into the router or the switch, but I got a gigabit router, gigabit switch. They were in fine shape. I'm streaming on them, no problems. I actually think I've had a green stream today for the first time in a long time, the whole time I've been streaming. So, of course, that's only like 1.5, 2 megabits upload. That's all your stream is. But I've been surfing the internet, you know, everything's normal. So, I mean, I guess I could have done a speed test to the internet just to make sure, but it doesn't tell me about my speed between these two machines. So I just got to leave it running, and I'm going to go. I need a break real bad, so I won't come back until that thing is done. I suppose I'll come back, you know, when it's done and, you know, test out my website and stuff. And then if it's all, everything is done, if I don't think of something else I forgot, then I can leave it running and turn off the red black BIOS store. So I'll come back on a video for that. Hopefully I will be able to do that today. I won't promise because I never know what, you never know. I shut down and other things come up that are, you know, have to do. But hopefully after, gosh, I'm only still on 831. Well, it will go, once it gets through these videos. Right now it is doing some videos. I'd forgotten that I do have a few videos on here. I wasn't thinking about it. But anyway, Oh. You goofy. Right there. Has anybody been screaming at me? 49.8 kilobytes a second. That's not 100 megabits. That's not 30 megabits. That's not 10 megabits. That's what speed they're writing at. Why? This is usually a fast file transfer app. It's not the app. At least it shouldn't be. 49.8 kilobits a second. Let's see what that equals. I knew it was painfully slow. Okay. 49.8 kilobits a second equals megabits a second. That didn't work. Did I type it down wrong? Kilobit. I guess I better type it out that way. Oh, I see. KIB. Well, I don't need capitals, but I need / S maybe. Let's see. Oh, it's KIB. KIB. I'll do the / just to megabits. Maybe I need MIB a second. Try that. There it is. Okay, so that is not even a full half a megabit a second. If it was it would be that's abysmal speed. I mean, 0.5 would be half a megabit a second. I'm thinking there's something wrong, and maybe I should stop it and start it again. I have a folder, conversion measurements. I like to put that stuff in. That is like there's really something wrong. But I still need the break, so I'm going to leave it alone, take my break, and I'm not going to leave this running and all that stuff. Maybe when I take my break, I'll come back and try to fix it, because I may want to stop it and start it again. Do something different. This should not be this bad. Maybe my cable is bad that I'm using. It's like something wrong with it. I can try a different cable. Reboot the machine, you know. Yeah. The wireless should be a lot faster than that, but I mean, I don't want to just start using the wireless. I could turn off the wired and it would go to the wireless, but I'm actually dying for a break too bad to do anything right now. So I'm going to go, and yeah, I'll come back after my break and try to straighten that out. I realize now that there's something seriously wrong. I always forget to look at everything on, and with something such a busy app like that, I forget that sometimes they actually tell you that information you're wondering about right there in the screen. So yeah, there is something wrong. I didn't think I was that crazy. I mean, I didn't think I was that bad of a judge of time, you know. I'm pretty bad, but not that bad. All right. I'll be back after I take a break.